Hey there, everybody. I hope you're doing well. I'm Afefe with Touched by Tarot and Beyond. And if you're new to the channel, I'm glad you're here. Hope you hit that like and subscribe button. Existing subscribers, I have a lot of new subscribers. I just hit 20,000. I am so grateful to you all and want to continue. It motivates me to continue to come here, bring you the best content that I can. And I welcome your participation in the comments. I read them. I try to respond. I just ask that we keep everything respectful, that we're tolerant of one another so that we can feel free to express our opinions. Quick housekeeping thing. I have decided, some of you have already signed up, to start a monthly spiritual politics private Zoom session where we can get together, talk about strategies, talk about what we're going through, talk about ways to stay motivated, stay engaged, and feel like we're in a safe space, that we have support. So I put a link to how to sign up below. I had thought about doing it on first Fridays. I'm on the East Coast. I had somebody say, listen, the timing around 7 o'clock Eastern time. But folks on the West Coast have been saying, listen, that's 4 o'clock for us, a little early. So I may move it to Saturdays instead. But the first meeting will take place on Friday, February 7th. Again, I'll put the information down below. I'd love to have you there. It won't be recorded, private Zoom, so we can feel free to build community, especially for those people who are, when we say the blue dots in red states, etc. So check it out. Hope to see you there. I'd love to have you. All right, y'all. It's Wednesday. Hakeem Jeffries and the Dems are telling us today, they are calling today a day of action. It is the 29th of January. I'm up before dawn, pre-dawn taping this. So the Dems are getting it together today, day of action. They called a meeting like, okay, let's get it together. We have, in response to this federal aid freeze, that F-47, that's what we're calling him, fake 47, felon 47, F-47, however you decide to roll with it. But the attorneys generals of 23 states, you all, got together and filed this lawsuit right before that federal aid freeze would have gone into effect. It just felt good to rattle off the states that are participating in this, the attorneys generals of these states that have said, So we've got California, New York. Tish James is back in the house again. F-47's attorneys were like, damn it, here she comes again. Love it. All right, so we got California on board, New York on board. Again, these are the attorneys generals who are participating in this lawsuit against this stoppage of federal aid. We have Arizona, Colorado, Connecticut, Delaware, Hawaii, Illinois, Maine, Maryland, Massachusetts, Michigan, Minnesota, Nevada, North Carolina, New Jersey, New Mexico, Oregon, Rhode Island, Vermont, Washington, Wisconsin, and the District of Columbia. Those states are not just the blue states. Some of those states went for F-47. So that gives you an idea of the extent to which, in terms of those who do care about the Constitution, who do feel that we have to uphold the Constitution of the United States, F-47's attempt to absolutely take over the one of the branches of government, Congress, is like, nah. So I'm going to spirit you all to see a couple of things. If the power of the purse resides with Congress, you've got F-47, he pulled, a whole bunch of them, 100 and something GOP Congress down in Miami. They're out there on the links, playing golf and carrying on. And basically co-opting them to say, listen, this is the agenda and you're going to go my way, right? Even though they had already approved this money to be spent, already approved it. And now he's got him, by the short hair saying, I know, but guess what? I'm in charge and you will do what I say. Let's see how that goes. Phones are ringing off the hook. Spirit saying phones are ringing off the hook. We've already seen who's out of Alaska. Murkowski has already said, my office has gone ballistic because of people saying, what is this about? You all, GOP is about to spin out. I am asking, first question is, this lawsuit that these attorneys generals have filed. So We got a federal judge who said, okay, put a pause on it, pump the brakes until Monday, February 3rd. We will see what happens in terms of F-47's, his attorney's response to that. But if this goes to SCOTUS, want to ask Spirit, what is going to happen? Will SCOTUS uphold the Constitution? Because the power of the purse, 5 of swords, they're not going to know which way to go. They already see this coming, and they're already starting like, oh my goodness. Because now, we know all of this, or so much of this, is happening because of their immunity decision, right? And that's why he's in there gone completely roughshod, gone completely off the rails to dismantle this country for entertainment purposes only, right? I got to do that. We have the hangman. Oh yeah, they are like, ooh, Roberts and Alito and Thomas, his main boys. They're like, whoa, what are we going to do about this one right here? Because it's coming. Spirit. First, I'm asking, please confirm this federal aid issue and F-47's executive order to block federal aid. Will it wind up before the Supreme Court? Let's start. Let's put the dots together. Will it wind up before the Supreme Court? It will. The tower. Because it is about the absolute attempt to destroy the government. I mean, you've got the executive branch telling Congress, I know you were supposed to have the power of the purse, but you no longer do. I do. It's going to the Supreme Court. And, I love in this particular deck, somebody's going to ask me, I'm reading from the Next World Tarot. In this particular deck, there's wording in the middle. I want to make sure you can see that. It says, defend the sacred in that tower. Defend the sacred. Defending the Constitution. You would think that's what SCOTUS would do. Spirit, will the Supreme Court do the right thing and maintain the Chariot? I want more, please. The Chariot and the 3 of Swords and the 2 of Swords. They're going to, I think this reads like and the Moon. All right. I think it's going to go to the Supreme Court ultimately. These attorneys generals from all the state, this is going to get protracted. It looks like it's going to wind up with that Chariot indeed before the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court, 2 of Swords, conflicted. You know what? 3 of Swords and the Moon. They don't want to wholesale capitulate once again. But I think they're going to try and delay it. That 2 of Swords feels like they're going to try and figure out a way to delay it, and they're going to try to figure out a way to give him some of what he wants. There may be a directive. There may be a directive to parse it out instead of a wholesale block. They may come down with a decision. Look, you've gotta be more specific. You've got to work with Congress. That's the Chariot. You've got to work with Congress to hammer this out. I think they're going to try and turn it back to Congress to hammer it out, to say specifically, line by line, what is it that you're trying to cut, and make sure that it's not this wholesale. The 8 of Pentacles, exactly. Okay, thank you, Spirit. 8 of Pentacles is a card of getting the work done. It's mastery, it's skill, it's hard work. And I think that's what Spirit is saying. When it goes to the Supreme Court, it looks like it will. They're going to come down with a decision that basically punts it back to Congress and says, there may be some merit to this gag, but it cannot be done this way, and it cannot be done wholesale. You're going to have to go through it line by line, item by item, and decide exactly which programs, in what ways, blah, blah, blah. That is going to take quite a bit of time. Quite a bit of time. And in the meanwhile, this has been a shock to the system for people, because remember, all those states that we just rattled off, these attorneys generals, a lot of those states went for him, if we are to believe it, right? Because we're still big question mark around what was legit. But that's what's going to happen, you all. This is going to play out over time. But meanwhile, just like Murkowski said, her phones are ringing off the hook. These congressional leaders, their phones are ringing off the hook, and I hope they continue to do so. Emails, phone calls. What the heck are you talking about? And what it's doing is, Spirit, is there a showdown? Remember, Spirit said in my last reading there was going to be this pushback, and in the next 6 weeks or a little bit more leading up to March, when Congress has to approve the next budget. And I saw a clip yesterday of Jasmine Crockett coming out, and she's even predicting that there may be a government shutdown, likely be a government shutdown in March, because they're not going to be able to agree, and there's going to be some hard lines in there. Meanwhile, we also know, second thing I want to look at quickly today. So there was this so-called fork in the road. They actually titled this email to over 2 million federal workers. The title of the email was Fork in the Road. And that fork in the road, as many of you have already heard, is that federal workers across the board are being given, it's not an option. I don't even know what word to put on it right now, but they're being told you have until February 6th, like not a long time to think about this. You've got until February 6th to decide if you want to take this offer to get paid through September, and then you're gone. Bye-bye. Right? We'll pay you until September, keep your benefits, and if you opt to accept this buyout. And they called it fork in the doggone road. Now, what I'm getting you all is, if there is a mass acceptance of that, right? You already got the Federal Government Workers Union, I forget the actual title of it, saying, what? Like this, But think about that, you all. What position does that put in? I'm sure many of you are federal workers, and to the extent that you feel safe commenting, I'd love to hear from you here. Or I'd love to have you join the spiritual politics on February 7th. Again, the link I'll where we can do it privately. But to the extent that they accept that offer, over 2 million federal government workers. So now the work is not being done, and the federal government begins to crumble, which is his objective by September, if not sooner. How does that set things up for 2026, you all? That's what I'm hearing. What are you hearing? How does that set things up for 2026? Eight of Swords. Thank you, Spirit. Eight of Swords, right? The anxiety level of people outside of the fact that these are civil servants, many of them career civil servants, who have dedicated their lives in some form or fashion to serving the public. And having the just being told you have no value and we're willing to let you go. Here comes the High Priestess. I love that, because what it says is there's going to be a fallout from this that the GOP is not ready for. F-47 aside, his days, he's human. He's going on 79 years old. You looked at him real good lately? I don't know what they're shooting him up with or giving him. I don't know if they're giving him those those drips or whatever every day to keep him going and prop him up. But yeah, that's a whole other piece to the side. This is about the GOP having a reckoning with their constituents, and the people who voted for F-47 are. It's beyond the Knight of Pentacles. There's a slow but building. Knights are movement, and Pentacles, the movement toward understanding. Not just understanding. Spirit is like, this is more than just understanding. The movement towards being ready to do something and saying, we will get rid of you. 2026 will be here before you know it, and we will get rid of you, and we will replace you. Five of Pentacles, because the suffering that the government, not these workers, should they decide to take this offer, then even despite something like this federal aid freeze that they're trying to put through, this is people simply not even being in place to do the jobs to keep government working. And the extent to which people were feeling, when I'm hearing the extent to which people were feeling that there needed to be less government spending, had nothing to do with the function of government. And that's the wake-up call that a lot of people who went that other way are starting to realize. The MAGA crew, etc., the Four of Wands. There's just as we're seeing with these attorneys generals from different states, even states that are red, quote unquote red, this is coming together across lines, across party lines, across affiliations, to say, look, at the end of the day, we do need a functioning government, and to put everything within one branch of government, the executive branch, that's just not going to hold, you all. That's not going to hold. There is resistance to that. And thank you once again. If you've watched me before, you know when I'm in a flow and spirit gives me an ace, that's the way of them saying, yes, we're on the right track with that. All right. So day of action, you all. Day of action. Let's see what happens. There's a lot, and it just I hope that many of you feel encouraged, as I certainly do, that finally we are seeing action being taken versus just, wow, or this sense of shock that certainly all of us have been undergoing, and certainly even congressional leaders are undergoing. But to see this actually starting to take shape, and the momentum taking shape, GOP is going to spin out. Oh boy. yeah. The truth is coming out. That high priestess that we got, so much is coming out. And there will be, one of the things that this cautions us about is there will be some, in terms of what we learn, in terms of what we're being told in the media, even though we're having to scramble for different outlets, and outlets that we can really trust. But it's there. Spirit is saying there's things that will be revealed in time, bit by bit, and it's going to cause an extreme disruption in what his plans were, F47's plans are. And some of you have said, don't even do the 47, do the 45, but it will take time. There's the hangman again. It's a different way of seeing things. It's pausing to reflect. Whoa, wait a minute. This is not what anybody was counting on, what anybody said that they were really agreeing to. And all of this bowing down that the GOP is doing, they are about to decide, they're about to be forced to decide, who do you really answer to? Do you answer to him, or do you answer to your constituents? That's what's about to happen. All right, you all. Let's see. I'll be checking in with you again in a couple of days. Again, I thank you so much for being here. Let's keep this going. Keep your chin up. Breathe deep. This ain't nowhere near over. This ain't nowhere near over. We're going to get through this, all right? I'll talk to you soon. Be good out there. Be safe. Bye.